Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about the topic of maturity. You know, one of those pillars that we can find our reference point to the best version of ourselves. What does maturity mean? So maturity means the quality of behaving mentally and emotionally like an adult. Interesting. So this is sort of echoed in the Bible, and this is from 1 Corinthians 13:11. It says, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways." So I think it's really interesting, like the same encouragement, you know, that when we emotionally and act like an adult. But when do we actually become a man? Like, when did you become a man? I remember going to a course and there was like 50 guys in the room, and that question was asked, when can you name the time when you actually became a man? And of those men in the room, probably one person out of 50 could put their hand up and name it. In other cultures there are certain rites of passages from boyhood to manhood. Like a friend of mine, when I shared that question, in the Philippines, what they do is, when you're 13, there's a rites of passage, and that rites of passage is you get circumcised. So all I can say is I'm glad I'm not Filipino, but there are certain rites of passages in different cultures, but in the Western society, there's not something that's really done. So legally, it's legislated that when you're 16, you can drive a car. So does that make you a man? Not sure. At 18, you're legally allowed to drink. So does that make you a man at 18? It's a very undefined thing in the Western society. And in today's fatherless society, that transition to manhood is even less and less defined. So on the extremes, if a father or the man of the house abandons the family, and one of the boys have to take up the mantle as the man of the house, then my suggestion that being a man is probably way too early at that point. And on the flip side is that, if your spoilt child grows up and still demands to have his own way at 50, then, that transition to manhood is probably a little bit too late. So I think there's probably no hard and fast rules about when a person becomes a man, but it's a really good question. Like, when is it for you? Like, when was that time? Unfortunately, we have men in old bodies acting like kids. They're acting like this. They blame everyone for their current circumstances. They make excuses, and they even deny it's even happening to him, like that other child in the photo. So that's how children behave. They behave, and I'll share with you a model that what we call is they play under the line. They blame, they make excuses, and they live in denial. Men, on the other hand, they actually live above the line. So above the line means they take ownership and they're accountable, and they're responsible for the current situations they're currently facing. They don't live as victims, but they live as victors. They understand that taking responsibility means that they have the ability to respond to whatever life throws at them. They understand that the choices that they've made have brought them to where they are. But they also understand that the choices they make from now on gives them the power to change their future. With that said, when did you become a man? I've sort of written a definition from my understanding, you can quote me on this, Mike Chin, that you are a man when you have the power to make decisions, intentional and resources, to carry out actions that affect the well-being of yourself and for those around you. So if you can read that again, you're a man if you can make decisions, you have the intention and the resources to carry out the actions, and they affect the well-being of yourself or himself and those around him. So if that's you, then I'd suggest that you are a man, that you need to give up your childish ways and start acting like an adult. How are you going to live your life? You're going to live below the line, or you're going to live above the line? Time to start choosing. Choose to be a man. Thanks.